Have you ever felt like someone was watching you, even though you were completely alone? This story might make you check under your bed tonight, twice. Back in 2016, a 24-year-old college student named Sarah moved into her first apartment. Small, old, but hers. It was the kind of place that creaked when you walked and whispered at night when no one was speaking. The landlord was a kind old man who lived downstairs. He told her the apartment had been vacant for nearly a year. No real reason why, just that people never stayed long. Sarah didn't care. It was cheap, and she needed quiet for her final exams. The first few nights were uneventful, until one night, she came home late from studying. As she turned the key and stepped inside, she noticed something odd. Her bed was made, perfectly, but she hadn't made it. Thinking she was just tired or losing her mind, she brushed it off. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she was just being paranoid. That night around 2:30 a.m. she was half asleep when she heard a sound from beneath her bed. It wasn't the usual creaks of old wood. It was breathing. Slow, wet, human. She froze. Her heart thundered in her chest. She reached for her phone but realized it was still charging across the room. The breathing continued. Inhale, exhale. Soft, but unmistakably close. She whispered, "Hello?" Silence. Then, from beneath the bed, something moved. It was slow, like someone shifting their weight in the darkness. With every ounce of courage, she slid out of bed and sprinted across the room, grabbed her phone, and turned on the flashlight. She crouched down, and what she saw made her scream so loud the neighbor called the police before she even touched her phone. Under the bed was a man, dirty, pale, and grinning. He didn't flinch. Didn't try to run. He just whispered, "You sleep," so peacefully. By the time police arrived, he was already restrained by Sarah and a frying pan to the head. Turns out, the man was a squatter. He'd been living in the building's crawl spaces and empty units for months. He watched Sarah move in and decided she was perfect. He made her bed while she was gone, ate her food, watched her sleep. The worst part? They found a blanket and pillow under the bed. He'd been there for days. Have you ever dropped someone off and then realized they were never really there? This story starts with a late-night Uber ride and ends with a secret buried in the dark. Jason had been driving for Uber in a quiet suburb just outside Chicago. It was an easy side hustle. Pick up a few people after midnight, make quick cash, head home. But one rainy Saturday night, he picked up a rider that still haunts him. 13 a.m. He got a ping from Marie, a pickup near a cemetery. Weird, but not impossible. Maybe she was just walking nearby. He pulled up, headlights cutting through the fog, and sure enough, a girl stood under a flickering streetlight. Pale, soaking wet, head down, wearing an old-fashioned coat that looked like it belonged to another decade. She got in without saying a word. Jason tried to be friendly. "Rough night?" She nodded. Barely spoke. Just muttered, "Home." He glanced at the GPS. Destination was about 15 minutes away, a neighborhood on the edge of town. The whole ride was silent except for the sound of the rain and a weird clicking noise coming from the back seat, like fingernails tapping on plastic. When he glanced in the mirror, she was staring out the window, unmoving. As they got closer to the destination, the signal on his GPS started acting up. The road curved sharply, leading into a patch of woods he'd never driven through before. Then suddenly, she spoke. "Right here." Jason stopped the car, but there was no house, just trees, mud, a broken mailbox leaning sideways in the brush. He turned to ask if she was sure, but the back seat was empty. Marie was gone. No door had opened. No sound. No trace. He drove straight to the police station, confused, panicked, and trying to explain what happened. The officer on duty pulled up the ride history and stared in silence. Then he said, "You're not the first one." Jason was stunned. The officer explained that years ago, a young woman named Marie had been killed by a drunk driver near that cemetery. Ever since, late-night drivers reported picking up a silent woman in a coat who always disappeared before reaching her destination and always said the same word: home. Jason deleted his Uber account the next day. Jason froze. He got out of the car, his breath fogging in the air, and checked the back seat. Nothing. Most baby monitors pick up crying, giggling, or silence. But what would you do if yours picked up someone whispering in a voice you don't recognize? It was a calm Sunday night in Minnesota. Emily and her husband Dave had just put their 9-month-old daughter Ava to bed upstairs. They settled into the living room with a glass of wine, flipping through Netflix as the baby monitor sat quietly beside them. At first, just light crackling. But then, it shifted into something else. A voice. Emily thought she was imagining it. But Dave muted the TV and leaned in. There it was again. A soft, croaky whisper. "She's so small." Dave stood up immediately. "Who's in the room?" They raced upstairs, but Ava was asleep, undisturbed. Alone. They checked the windows, the closet, under the crib. Nothing. They brushed it off. Maybe interference, a neighbor's monitor, maybe a radio signal. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. 9:47 p.m. Now Emily was terrified. She took Ava into their room and turned off the monitor completely. The following morning, they replaced it with a newer encrypted model. Sleek, secure. That night, they tested it. Silence, relief. Until 2:11 a.m., Dave shot up in bed. The monitor screen had turned on by itself. No sound, just video. And someone was in the nursery. Not Ava. A figure standing by the crib. It was blurry, tall, hunched, with long limbs and a pale face peering over the bars of the crib. But it wasn't touching her. Just watching. Dave rushed in, but there was no one. Just Ava, asleep. The door had never opened. The windows were still locked. The next day, they installed motion sensors, security cameras, even hired a local tech expert to hack-proof their system. He came back an hour later, looking pale. "The monitor wasn't hacked," he said. "What do you mean?" This time, the voice was clearer. "It wasn't connected to the internet. There's no signal to hijack. What you saw wasn't from outside." Emily asked. "Then what was it?" He said nothing. Just packed up and left. They moved out within a week. But here's the kicker. The family that moved in after them, their baby monitor never picked up voices, only laughter, late at night when no one else was awake. "I see you." Then came the static. Every old house has a room that stays closed, but when you're the one with the key, what happens when you open a door that should have stayed locked? In 2011, a man named Ryan inherited a farmhouse from his uncle. It was tucked deep in the hills of rural Pennsylvania, isolated, quiet, and over 100 years old. The house was in decent shape, except for one thing, a door on the second floor that was completely sealed shut. "Don't touch the door," he said. "Why?" There was a pause. Because it remembers Ryan always thought it was some kind of metaphor. His uncle was a drinker, prone to weird sayings. But now, standing in that dim hallway, staring at a door that clearly someone didn't want opened, he was curious. He left it alone for the first few weeks. But the longer he stayed, the more he started noticing strange things. At night, the air upstairs would go cold. Unnaturally cold. Even with the heater on full blast, he'd hear scratching behind the walls. Nailed, boarded, padlocked, from the outside. His uncle had told him about it once, over the phone, and sometimes, he swore, he'd see light coming from the gap under the sealed door, like a flickering candle. One night around 3 a.m., he was jolted awake by the sound of something falling. Like furniture toppling over, he ran upstairs. Everything was still, except the sealed door. The nails had come loose. The padlock was on the floor, but the boards were still in place, barely, and behind them. Something was knocking. Soft, repetitive. Ryan stood frozen, and then he made a mistake. He pulled off the boards. The door creaked open. The room was pitch black. Dusty. Empty. Except for one thing. A chair sitting in the middle. Facing the window and in the chair, a doll. Handmade. Burlap face. Black button eyes. Red stitched smile. Ryan laughed nervously. Creepy, sure. But harmless. He turned around, and that's when he heard a second chair scrape across the floor. Behind him, he spun back, but nothing had moved. The doll was still there, still smiling. He shut the door, relocked it, and resealed it with a brand new chain. But things got worse after that. The doll started appearing in other parts of the house. On the kitchen counter, on his bed. Even once in the bathroom sink, he never heard footsteps. Never saw anything move. But it was always closer. He finally had the house blessed, then abandoned it entirely. To this day, it sits empty. The door is still sealed. But sometimes hikers passing through say they hear something inside. A soft knock, followed by quiet laughter. If these stories are creeping you out, make sure to like, share, and subscribe before something else finds you first.